friends, or homeschool moms, or lunch ladies, or whatever role you're filling right here in this moment. I wanted to take just a second and say thank you for encouraging me to make another video because I was feeling kind of, it's a vulnerable thing to do. So if you've never done it, I encourage you to make a video just so that you know, like, how you're putting yourself out there. It's just a little scary, and not that I really care about being judged, but I'm only friends with people I really care about. So I care about you because you're getting this video. Today I want to talk to you. I'm only going to do this for a second because I'm in the middle of meal planning, but I really wanted to make a video because I know I'm just never going to make time to do it. So I'm just like, I just got to pop on here, do it, and get it over with. I mean, that way it'll also be short. You won't hate me for wasting, 12 minutes of your life. Maybe only 4. So why do we homeschool? Why do I homeschool? Why do you homeschool? There are so many reasons, and I don't homeschool for the same reason that I started homeschooling. Before I tell you why I homeschool, I've had to defend myself quite a bit, as any homeschooler kind of has to, because there will be opposition. There will be people who don't believe in it, and you don't have to defend yourself. You could just say, I don't owe you an explanation, but you could also just tell them where you're coming from. Quick history lesson: public school or private school. Public school is only about 100 years old. And when you think about all of humanity and how we've been having children for thousands and thousands of years, how were they educated before the public school system, which is only about 100 years old? Like, okay, there were public schools in the there were schools in the colonies, but they didn't teach math and reading, and I think there was a Latin school, so they were teaching Latin, which means they were teaching the Bible, like, in Latin. I was gonna say Vulgate. Anyway, they were teaching Latin in the colonies up in Boston. But if you wanted to educate your child, you hired a tutor or you did it yourself. And there were other schools that evolved, but not until after, I would say around the 1900s, there was this, I'm going to backtrack. When we were expanding, there were communities that would come together and they would kind of co-op. They would pool their money together and hire a teacher. And that's still not public school. That is co-oping and, what's the word for that? Oh, a governess. Or a teacher, but I like the word governess. So the idea that public school is like the baseline, that's because we're not more than 100 years old. This is all we've ever known. And the generation before that, and about the generation before that. But before that, going to public school was kind of like, hey, let's try this new thing. Let's see if it works. Let's stick 28-year-olds in one class with one adult and see if they learn better this way. And if you have 20 well-behaved 8-year-olds, that'll work pretty well if they're all able to pay attention. There are a lot of drawbacks to that. Not what this video is about, but I've been a teacher in the school system, and many of my friends have, and there is, I'll tell you what the other experience I've had real quick is I was able at one point to teach a class of gifted kids. I had 12 students from kindergarten to 8th grade. I had such an interesting mix, all different ages, and boys and girls. Oh my gosh, it was a dream. It was a dream because the little kids kept things exciting. The big kids were willing to like step in and help, and it gave them such a bigger sense of a responsibility, and I think they were able to have more fun. There wasn't this showing off. There was absolutely no competitive nature, which can be motivation, but when you're learning and you're able to just explore ideas and creativity, it was such an amazing thing. So I was able to do that at a community school, and what an amazing experience I had. So why do I homeschool? Well, this video is going to be longer than I expected. When I first started, I had a baby, and I looked at her, and I loved her, and I fell deeply in love and said, I will never let anybody hurt you. And I said, I will never send you to school. And I wanted to protect her. That's not the original reason, but I did have that feeling in my heart, like, I don't ever want to let you go. Especially to places like school, those are places that, I had been hurt. I mean, everybody who's been to school has gotten their feelings hurt there, or bullied, or scared, or failed. And the other reason was I really felt like I could educate her better than the public school system. I thought, I know how to teach her, and I have the education myself, and I want to equip her to fulfill as much of her potential as she can. And I had lofty goals. Like, I was young, and I thought, I am going to teach her so much that she will have the knowledge if she needed to colonize another planet. Now, I know that sounds crazy. It is crazy, but we all homeschool for different reasons. But I wanted to be able to give her a well-rounded mastery of everything. I grew up a little bit with her, and I realized you can't master everything, and you have to find your own passion. I know you've heard this quote, if you're in education, that learning isn't about filling a bucket, it's about lighting a fire. So my own educational philosophies have changed somewhat over time. They've progressed. I want her to find what she wants to do and be able to have the time to explore that, and not be pulled in every direction, just be able to go hard after a passion that she's given in her heart. Going back to protection, I didn't want to put her in a place where she would be possibly labeled, judged, criticized, which is what we do. We put kids in schools and we give them a letter grade, and you're in the advanced class or you're not. And it just wasn't something I didn't want her evaluated that way. I have had my children tested. We have done some standardized tests, and it's not really about them. You can't learn from a test unless you're like reviewing it and going over what you got wrong. I gave them those tests so that I could know where they were at. We'll get into that. It's a whole nother video. Why do I homeschool? I didn't grow up in a time of school shootings, but I have raised children through that, and we weren't ever there. But that's scary. I know that your children, if they were in public school, that was a very scary time. And I don't know that we're not still going through it. We're just not in school now. So your why could be because I don't want to have to do shooter drills. I don't want my child bullied because they are different and special. I don't want my child to get sick. That's going to be hard, taking all of these kids home, saying, here, you're going to be in charge of your kids' education, which with help from the districts. But now you're going to go put them back. I think that I might be like, maybe I'll try this homeschooling thing. I don't recommend doing anything out of fear. Do it thoughtfully and with a lot of consideration. A lot of my friends were homeschooling because of religious reasons, and we also do well. We do that as well. I like to teach certain subjects from a certain worldview perspective because although we talk about all of them, I want them to know what I believe and that there's a certain truth that can be seen a different way, and they don't always agree, but there are so many things in common. And how to argue your point, like whether or not you are going to believe in creationism versus evolution, what part of evolution you can still agree with if you believe in creationism. There were a lot of reasons for doing that too. My reason now for homeschooling, sorry this video is so long. My reason now is because I love to learn and I love watching my kids learn and I love being around them. And we just enjoy our time together. You know, we look for those moments that are just special and, you know, make your little eyes twinkle. We had to abandon our lessons again this morning because, well, I bought a new refrigerator and we had to open it. And so now we have a giant refrigerator box that may become a food truck. But it took time to take it apart and tape it back together. And so that's what we did, which is learning, which was fun. And also you're learning how to use materials, and you know, you can break it down to geometry and physics, but that's not that fun. Wrestling a refrigerator box is fun. So that's all I have today. Sorry this is so long again. Boom. Bye.